Hello, my name is Mogaka Benson, and I want to welcome you to our new podcast. And we are going to share untold environmental stories. Yeah, I'm the leader and also the Chief Executive Officer of Wetlands Conservation Organization, a youth-led public benefit organization in Kenya dedicated to the restoration and conservation of wetlands to address climate change as a crisis and biodiversity loss. So today I have a guest in the room, and I'm going to give her an opportunity so that she can also introduce herself.
Thank you, Mr. Mogaka, for this opportunity, and I want to extend our gratitude to Bonifu for hosting us and making this podcast possible. So the topic of our podcast is untold environmental stories from the youth. And on this episode, we'll be talking about understanding the concept of soil and wetlands and the importance. So let me start by introducing myself.
Yes.
My name is Cynthia Mumo, and I'm the founder of Tuhifadhi Mchanga initiative, and our initiative is dedicated in creating soil health awareness, empowering communities through soil knowledge, and advocating for the protection of this precious resource. Tuhifadhi Mchanga initiative, we believe that soil is the foundation of life, and our mission is to educate communities on the importance of soil health and sustainable practices to ensure a healthy ecosystem for future generations.
Interesting, Cynthia. Karibu sana. So what is soil, and what are some of the benefits or importance of soil?
So let's begin. Soil is what you see when you look at land. That soil is a natural resource composed of minerals, organic matter, water and air. It forms the upper layer of the earth's surface and is capable of supporting plant life. Soil is created through the weathering of rocks and the decomposition of organic matter over long periods of time. So soil takes a lot of time to form, and one thing that we all depend on soil is food. Most farmers, from large scale to small scale, they all depend on soil. I know there are new technologies of planting crops without the use of soil as a medium. I hope you've interacted with hydroponics, isn't it? So another importance of soil is that it acts as water storage and filtration. When we have rains, when water seeps through soil, it makes way for water to be clean for the purpose of farmers and domestic use. So another important or vital thing about soil, it's a natural habitat of more than 25% of mammals on Earth. You can see that's a huge vast of organisms, starting from humans to earthworms. Another thing that soil plays a major role is in climate change. I mean, soil sequesters a huge amounts of carbon compared to any other ecosystem. I mean, when you talk about soil, you talk about stability. It's where we get our raw materials from wood, from cement. I mean, soil provides a lot of ecosystem services. There are so many. I don't think I can exhaust on these podcasts only.
Yeah. So, is there anything that you want to know or learn about wetlands?
Yes, I don't think I have an extensive knowledge concerning wetlands. I'd like to hear more about wetlands.
Okay, so I'll give you also a brief description about the scope around wetlands. So, wetlands, these are ecosystems. They are ecosystems that are either are saturated permanently or temporarily, across the year, and they can be saturated by either fresh water, salt water, brackish water, grey water. But briefly, we have two main types of wetlands. So we have the coastal wetlands, and these include the mangroves, we have seagrass, we have flat tidals, we have coastal deltas, we have salt marshes, and coral reefs. But also we have the inland wetlands. So here we have the lakes, the salty marshes, the marshy areas, swampy areas, rivers. These are just examples of wetlands. And wetlands plays different vital roles, including provision of socio-economic activities for the local communities, but also provisioning of ecosystem services like mitigation of climate change through sequestration of carbon. Wetlands also provides a habitat to 40% of the biodiversity. Also, wetlands facilitate the hydrological cycle. Also, you shouldn't forget that wetlands provide water for domestic purposes, for irrigation. Yeah, so these ecosystems are very, very important, and they really need to be safeguarded for the future generation and also the current generation. Yeah, so also Cynthia, because I have you today on our platform, I wanted to learn more and more about your initiative and with the aspect of soil and the nexus to wetlands. I'm really curious to understand what are the impacts that the society or the communities may face if we cannot take proper interventions to ensure that soil is not degraded.
Okay, first and foremost, the Kenyan soils, 63% of them are acidic, rendering the rest of 27% that are fertile. And with the current effects of climate change, degradation is going at a high rate.
Yes.
And these causes of degradation are mainly caused by unsustainable agricultural practices, deforestation, yes, overgrazing, and industrial activities as
yes.
Now, when you degrade soil, you inhibit food production. It means that food security will be an issue. So another thing, when you degrade soil, as we've talked earlier, soil takes a lot of years to form. So we can't replicate soil in our lifetime span. Yes. Soil is something that we must protect. When we don't protect it, we make it not going to provide the ecosystem services that we really depend on, such as nutrient cycling.
Kindly share with us.
Okay, so nutrient cycling is really important, yes, in soil.
Yes.
When you see previously, in March, when, yes, there were the floods, you could see farmers on the TV complaining about overusage of fertilizers, yes, for a period of time while the crop yield is still decreasing. You should, yes, ask yourself why that is happening, and I will elaborate. Yes. So when you say carbon sequestration in soil itself,
yes.
So yes, when soil isn't covered, when it has no vegetation cover or forests, it releases huge amounts of carbon into the air, yes, and also nitrogen. I mean, when this, yes, nutrient cycling is really important. When we over-rely on pesticides or fertilizers, yes, we interfere with the normal ecological ecosystem that happens beneath our feet. I mean, the microorganisms are the ones who convert nitrogen into useful. Now, when we use pesticides, these microorganisms die, and then we end up on relying on fertilizers, the nitrogenous fertilizers. You end up adding, and this adding chases away microorganisms. You see, soil contains fungi,
yes,
plants, trees, crops, all this. They do some communication, and as human activities, when we go to interfere with that, we really interfere with something so delicate. Yes. And replicating that or making that soil be healthy again is quite a process. Do you know, Mr. Mogaka, for wetlands to, yes, form,
yes,
you need soils that create that environment for wetlands. So you can see by us human activities degrading or polluting soil, yes, is a major problem, as we want this soil to continue providing this ecosystem for future generation. I think there's a saying in Kikuyu that says, yes, your grandchildren lays you the land. Yes. Inamaanisha kwamba we are not the owners of this land, yes, so we must take care of soil.
Yeah, but also from the perspective of our initiative, I think also we need to conserve the wetlands, because if we cannot take positive interventions to also conserve such ecosystems, we find that wetlands play a very, very crucial role in mitigation of climate change, but also wetlands can play a huge role in accelerating climate change as a crisis. So it depends with the interventions taken by the communities, but also we as youth should also be at the forefront of conserving these ecosystems. Also, some of other repercussions that the local communities can face. For example, wetlands play also a crucial role in mitigation of floods. So if we cannot conserve these wetland ecosystems, you find that during heavy torrential rainfalls that are caused by the climate that is changing, you find that these natural hazards can really have very negative consequences to the local communities. So we really need to conserve these ecosystems. But also, if we cannot protect our wetlands, it means we are actually destroying a habitat of 40% of the nature biodiversity. So we really need to strengthen how we can have these ecosystems, soil and wetlands being at the forefront of environmental protection.
Thank you. You've reminded me, Mr. Mugaka.
Yes.
When doing soil conservation, when we speak about soil, when you speak about human activities polluting, it's the over-reliance of chemical use.
Yes.
When there's rains, this water percolates through soil and makes its way to wetlands.
Yes.
And in turn, the aquatic life is also affected. Those chemical residues will also affect the biodiversity that's steaming under beneath our feet. So in a sense, when you conserve soil, you also conserve wetlands. We really want these ecosystems to provide services for us, and in turn we should also take care of them.
Interesting, Cynthia. But also, let me ask you, as a founder and also a leader of Tuhifadhi Mchanga initiative, what are some of the interlinkages between wetlands and soil? And because that's the only way we can identify and strengthen the relationship of perhaps our initiatives working together.
Okay, let's take for the small project that you have in Michuki Dam. You can see the wetland is a bit
interesting. Actually, we met during the launch of our restoration project for Michuki Dam. Yeah, it is very interesting, and we look forward to work together. Yes.
So what I really noticed is that there's heavy siltation around the dam, and in the dam you can see plants emerging. No wonder. And along when soil erosion happens, what happens is that soil is carried away along with other sediments, seeds, and they are deposited along river banks. So the link between us, that would be really nice to make the farmers around the dam to be aware about soil conservation measures, to avoid siltation to the dam, and also encourage them to use agroecological sustainable practices, not to rely so much on use of chemicals and pesticides. Yeah,
but I can also relate from the perspective of wetlands and the nexus to soil, with the aspect of soil playing a huge role in the carbon storage, because as much as wetland ecosystems aid in the sequestration of carbon, soil plays the big part of the storage of this carbon, majorly in ecosystems such as peatlands. So Cynthia, it was an honor.
So concluding, I hope by what I have discussed concerning soil, I hope it inspires you to continue conserving soil for a better future.
Yeah, interesting, Cynthia. It was an honor having you today to launch our episode 1 of Untold Environmental Stories. And I look forward to have you back, because we have a lot that you need to share with the audience, and also with other youth, so that we can also share the knowledge and see how we can work together to strengthen the environmental conservation through the engagement of the youth. So my name is Mogaka Benson, and I was happy to have this podcast being launched today with Cynthia Momo Meli. Do you have anything else you want to share with the audience?
I really look forward to educating more and more concerning soil. What we've talked about is just a tip of the iceberg. I hope we'll even have more participants or even engage farmers in these podcasts, and for them to give their insights. Thank you, Mr. Mogaka.
Karibu tena. Bye bye for now.